Okay, we'll start with this one last look at Alicia Baumgardner's upcoming fight tomorrow night. I'm hungrier, I'm meaner, and I'm sharper than Shin. Baumgardner plans to demonstrate why, when they're face-to-face in the ring, the 31-year-old from Detroit must get through her South Korean opponent to set up bigger fights against top names, including the likes of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Baumgardner's only loss came almost 8 years ago against Christina Linardatu,
a loss that she has since avenged, though not without some controversy. Following her win over her rival, she popped hot for a banned substance, and now a lot of people won't let her live it down, even though she was cleared, even though she was never actually suspended or stripped of her titles. To a lot of people,
she's as good as a dirty fighter. As it pertains to her opponent tomorrow night, Alicia said, she's a warrior, but I'm hungrier, meaner, and I'm just sharper. Baumgardner said during Wednesday's press conference, this is the perfect moment to show who Alicia Baumgardner is. Shin, who picked up a bounce-back win over Tawarna Campbell last November after losing to Caroline Dubois, believes her style will be kryptonite for the unified champion. Of course, Baumgardner rejects that notion, insisting she's only getting better with age. She said she can't wait to show off what she's been working on in the gym. I don't fight like a girl, Baumgardner said with a smile. When we talk about skills, you're able to see it round after every round.
A lot of the focus this week in the build-up of the Benavidez Shin fight has been on other fights with other fighters with bigger names like Katie and Amanda and Caroline Dubois, when this is the fight that Alicia actually needs to focus on, because there is every possibility that Benavidez Shin might make her look human. Jennifer Miranda did, and Layla Boudoir.
Where Benavidez Shin was able to make Caroline Dubois look human in the last 2 or 3 rounds of their fight, Caroline Dubois gassed out, and when she did, Benavidez Shin was going to town. Now, the difference between that fight and this one is that Alicia is a lot more experienced than Caroline was at the time that she fought Benavidez Shin, but what is also different is Caroline's fight was for 10-2s. This fight is for 10-3s.
Alicia sports a professional record of 17 wins with 1 loss and no draws, 7 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 18 professional bouts. Benavidez Shin has about the same number of fights. It's a bit more than that, actually, sporting a professional record of 19 wins with 3 losses and 3 draws, 10 recorded knockouts, having never been knocked out
in 25 professional bouts, last in action in November of last year opposite the ring Tawarna Campbell, who she won a decision against. Tomorrow, she won't have any ring rust that she needs to shake off.
Alicia Baumgardner believes that she is too skilled for somebody like Benavidez Shin. Caroline Dubois thought the same thing, but in the end, she started to unravel towards the tail end of the fight. And this fight, having more time in than that one, there is every possibility that Alicia could gas out, because she's gassed out before in fights, punched herself out before in fights. The same thing could happen tomorrow, and given how she's been carrying on,
the holier-than-thou attitude towards a Caroline Dubois fight, aiming for fights with bigger names like Katie and Amanda, looking human tomorrow night would not be the best advertisement.
She better not.
Feels like it's been a long time since Alicia put forward a dominant performance that wows the public. The last time she looked on form for me was in the Delphine Persoon fight in September of 2024, approximately 2 years ago, where she came very close to stopping the former champion, if not for a clash of heads that resulted in a cut and a no contest.
To make matters worse, that fight happened behind closed doors on a platform that most boxing fans are not familiar with. So a lot of people didn't see that fight, but that's the last time she really looked dominant. She looked human with Jennifer Miranda and Layla Boudoir.
She needs a standout performance tomorrow, given us she's been carrying on. That Caroline Dubois is not ready for a fight between them, that she's just a pup.
Okay, then show us how it's done.
Because she fought the same girl that you're fighting tomorrow night, so you can't just beat her, you can't just make it past her, you've got to do one better. You've got to outperform Caroline.
Benavidez Shin has never been stopped. I've never seen her knocked out. I've never even seen her knocked down.
But you've seen this dynamic before. The pressure fighter versus the boxer, the mover. How oftentimes the pressure fighter causes that boxer to unravel, being forced to fight at a frenetic pace. Alicia says that she's hungrier than Benavidez Shin, but I don't know that she is. She seems focused on a lot of other things. Katie, Amanda, the WWE.
You've heard it said before that success breeds complacency, and ever since the world took notice of this fighter, there's a legitimate argument that she's gone Hollywood, that she's grown complacent over time, not hungry.
A hungry fighter would have moved up by now, become a champion at a second weight. She's in the right place to do it. MVP has the bodies, but she's still at super feather and means to remain there for the foreseeable future. So I don't know how hungry she is or isn't. I just know this is not the kind of fight that you win on autopilot.
Yeah, this girl's gonna make you work.
And I don't think it's at all to Alicia's benefit and her fighting style that this fight is for 10-3s instead of 10-2s. I would argue that benefits the pressure fighter more than the boxer.
Yeah, they got the cardio for the extra time.
So there is every possibility that Alicia Baumgardner could be made to look human once again tomorrow night in New York. I don't know that she's going to, but it's possible. We'll see what shakes out during the live stream.
Men's welterweight news. Former champion Brian Norman returns next month on the 16th to co-headline the Davis vs. Albright rematch on DAZN.
In the main event, Keyshawn Davis aims to settle his feud with Nair Albright in a junior welterweight rematch and homecoming at the Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. The Ring reported the development earlier this month. In the chief support slot, former WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman will return for the first time since suffering a unanimous decision loss to Devin Haney in November to take on Josh Wagner, 19-2 with 10 knockouts. It was announced this past Wednesday. Norman will be making his debut with new coach Ronnie Shields in the 10-round fight.
And I have my reservations about that because I don't have a high opinion of Ronnie Shields as a trainer. I never saw a guy go to Ronnie and get better and start looking better.
But that's the situation. Keyshawn Davis will be accompanied by his brothers on the card, as welterweights Kelvin Davis and Keon Davis will also be featured in undercard slots across the bill. Norfolk, I'm coming with a purpose, Keyshawn said. Since my last fight, I've grown sharper, stronger, and more focused than ever. On May 16th, you're going to see the best version of Keyshawn Davis. The businessman is ready to handle business in front of my people. It means everything to be kicking off this new era of Top Rank on DAZN. I'm honored to lead the charge and show the world what this next chapter looks like.
The corner situation for Keyshawn Davis has also had some alterations as he's not with veteran trainer Bo McIntyre anymore.
The Davis family is hoping the May 16th show ends up much better than the last time the trio was supposed to fight on the same card. In June, Keyshawn blew the weight by 4.3 pounds, was stripped of his WBO lightweight title, and has had his scheduled fight against Edwin De Los Santos canceled. The following night, after Albright beat Kelvin by majority decision, Keyshawn and company incited a backstage brawl with Albright.
They fought before.
Keyshawn and Nair Albright fought in a sanctioned contest in October of 2023. About originally scored a 10-round majority decision win for Davis and later ruled a no decision when Davis tested positive for marijuana. All my life I've been an overcomer, Albright said in a statement. Starting from when I was a kid, I fought my way to this position. Tough fight after tough fight, and I'm still standing tall. This fight is another obstacle to jump over. I'm ready and grateful. Keyshawn made his 140-pound debut in January and stopped Jermaine Ortiz in the 12th round, while Albright fought to a 10-round unanimous draw against Frank Martin in February. Keyshawn and Nair left a lot of unfinished business in their 2023 fight. And everything that's happened since then has only intensified the stakes for this rematch, top-ranked president Todd Duboff said in a statement. Norfolk fans know exactly what this fight means for Keyshawn as he strives to re-establish himself as one of boxing's elite stars. Brian Norman Jr., who many considered the best fighter in his division before losing his crown, returns in the co-feature looking to re-establish himself as a dominant welterweight with explosive knockout power and charisma. This inaugural double headliner is the perfect launch of our new partnership with DAZN.
Focusing on the Brian Norman stuff, Top Rank did not decide to discard this fighter upon him losing his title. They didn't jettison him, but what really is his place in today's welterweight division? The cool kids.
You know, he's 0-1 against Devin Haney. He's already been there and done that with him. What are the odds that he can get one of the other cool kids in the ring, like Ryan or Rowley?
Slim to nil.
Going the WBC route, or the WBA route does not ensure that Bryan would get his crack at the apple, a chance to become a two-time welterweight champion, because we all know how they are. We all know what they're about.
You can pay the sanctioning fees and fight in the eliminators, become an interim champion, and in the end, they could still leave you in limbo, waiting for your title shot. So I would not advise Bryan to go those routes.
The WBO route is a bit more secure, though if you do that, what you're angling for is a rematch with Devin, which I've no interest in seeing. I don't want to see a second fight between them. The first one was so lopsided and simultaneously so uneventful.
He can go that route, he can do that, but I don't really want to see that fight. I don't want to see a rematch. Now, the IBF route, things get a little bit more interesting if he goes that route. Currently, Lewis Crocker is IBF champion, but he's supposed to be on the hook to satisfy his mandatory Liam Barro.
They were supposed to have already fought, but the fight got postponed as a result of Lewis suffering a quote-unquote injury. So now the fight between them's got to get rescheduled. Why should Bryan go that route?
Because those guys are more beatable. Liam Barro, Lewis Crocker, whoever wins.
And because the IBF, for all of their faults, they're still one of the more straight shooters as far as the alphabets. If you become their mandatory, your fight's going to get ordered. You're either going to get the fight you want, or they'll vacate the title and give it to you that way. But you'll get what you're looking for. That much is a guarantee. The only caveat is with them, there's a rehydration cap. They don't let guys blow up like everybody else.
I don't know which way Bryan is going to go. All I know is the WBA and the WBC are notorious for not doing their job. The WBO, they do their job, but do you really want to fight Devin again?
The IBF is an option. That's all I'm saying. It all starts with this fight against their,
The fuck's this guy's name?
Wagner. I never heard of the guy, never seen any of his fights, but there's plenty of time to get clued in between now and next month. So it looks like Brian Norman is on the bounce, and he'll be back in a few weeks' time. We'll see how he makes out.
Men's cruiserweight news. David Benavidez's mission statement is boxing's most impressive.
What, because he's fighting Zurdo?
In a stirring, impassioned appearance on Pro Box TV, unbeaten two-weight world champion David Benavidez spoke of his zest for embracing the challenges of boxing. Wanting to be the best for myself. We all have that little voice in our heads. I want to be the best, Benavidez said upon being asked by host Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi why he wants to move up 25 pounds to challenge Mexico's Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez for the cruiserweight belts May 2nd in Vegas.
Oh, is that why he's moving up there? Because he wants to be the best? Or is it because in between fights, the guy walks around 200 plus?
Getting down to light heavy ain't easy. Getting down to cruiser,
it's a bit more manageable, he said. I want to leave a great legacy and a great example for my kids that with hard work, you can achieve anything you want. There's a lot of great fighters out there for me in the cruiserweight and light heavyweight divisions. That's what excites me, that risk. I'm a vicious fighter. Benavidez, 31-0 with 25 KOs, graduates to his own Cinco de Mayo weekend card after the honor was carried for years by Mexico's former four-division champion and ex-undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez, who had surgery last year and will return to fight for the WBC super middleweight title versus champion Christian Mabili in a mid-September bout in Saudi. Very special. It's always been something I wanted, Benavidez said, of fighting on Cinco de Mayo.
The only real reason he's doing it is because Canelo's taking the day off.
If Zurdo Ramirez's pay-per-view and a Canelo pay-per-view were happening on the same night, that same weekend, which one do you think most people would buy? The numbers show what the numbers show. David's been on pay-per-view about 4 times now, about 4, and he's yet to turn in robust numbers for any of those pay-per-view fights. I don't know if that's going to all of a sudden start now that he's fighting Zurdo.
After fighting at 168 for a decade and waiting on Canelo Alvarez as a top WBC contender for 4 years to no avail, Benavidez said he would now reject any overture by Alvarez to fight at that weight, given Benavidez's position as WBC light heavyweight champion and the May 2nd bout at cruiser. I wish he would say that, because he'd be saying he's scared without saying he's scared, Benavidez said.
Canelo didn't say anything. Canelo doesn't spend anywhere near as much time talking about you as you do talking about him. Why would he? You're not at the same weight. You're not coming down.
And you don't have the leverage to get him to move up.
Article continues, there was no sense of fear in Benavidez as he discussed the big leap in weight to meet former sparring partner and two-weight world champion Ramirez, who's only lost the three-belt light heavyweight champion, Dmitry Bivol.
What fear is he gonna have? He sparred this guy for how many rounds? He knows him. He also knows he's a super middleweight who moved up in weight like he did. He's not gonna feel about him what he'd feel about Jayo Pataya.
It's very clear I'm trying to fight the biggest and the best, Benavidez said while urging fellow young champions to prefer rigorous bouts over the highest available purse. I spoke to Ramirez's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, and I don't want to backtrack and take a regular fight. Bivol got injured and took another fight. This kind of shit has been happening to me for quite a while. This is one of the biggest fights of the year. Benavidez said he has long felt he would fight Ramirez after feeling he got the better of him in sparring.
There it is.
I feel really good. I have good energy and stamina, and I don't have to strip any muscle down, Benavidez said. I'm expecting my best performance ever. It's not all about my power. It's my combination of punches and speed and movement. I'm unmatched.
You know, when I think Roy got to like 193, 199 for Ruiz, and it took something out of him coming back down to fight at light heavyweight against Tarver. Do you feel, is the fight with the scale of 75, is it difficult, or do you feel like you'll be just as strong for a Bivol fight?
I'll be just as strong. I was talking about like 68, but The thing about Roy Jones is that I've had tough weight cuts my whole career. I know how to do it. Basically what I'm trying to say, you have to take certain precautions on your diet, water manipulation, all that shit. I know how to do that really good. You know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with that. Roy Jones Jr., when he had to lose that weight, I don't think he'd ever had to lose weight. So he probably lost it in the wrong way. And then he had all that muscle build up. He lost the weight in like less than 2 months or something like that. So, you know, it's in that area I have more experience, more experience. So I don't think that'd be a problem.
I don't think it's going to be a problem either because I don't think David's going to do it. How could it be a problem? Guy who walks around 200 and change, making his cruiserweight debut. If he wins 2 alphabet titles in May, he's then going to put his body through the rigors of boiling down to 175. I think you have to be pretty naive to buy into this spiel from David Benavidez.
If fighting Dmitry and fighting Artur meant that much to him, he wouldn't have left the division in such a hurry. Just 3 fights into that campaign.
So Dmitry was injured or whatever the case was, you could have fought Artur while you waited for him.
Instead, you're fighting Zurdo that got beat by Dmitry, and this is supposed to be bigger than that. I don't know what this fight is going to do at the box office. They're just lucky they don't have to compete with Canelo, but that doesn't guarantee robust numbers.
Because you're not Canelo, and neither is Zurdo.
We'll see what it does, or what it doesn't do. But David, moving back down to light heavy after this? Don't hold your breath, you'll asphyxiate. He's not gonna do it.